Time for a change. We got a brand new day.
Alrighty, y'all. Y'all ready for some more good conversations? Essence Festival 2026, y'all having a good time? No, that ain't enough for me. Y'all having a good time over here? I don't know. How about right here? Y'all having a good time? That was a lot louder. I'm starting to believe it. What about this side over here on the stage? Y'all having a good time? Alrighty, y'all. So I am going to introduce the next conversation. This conversation is called Power Move, Louisiana Women. Economic development is usually told through numbers, jobs created, contracts awarded, dollars invested. But today, we're putting the women behind those numbers at the center of the stage. What does it take to close a deal that changes a city? To build a table that includes the people that are usually left out? This segment is brought to you by Louisiana Economic Development. Please welcome the moderator of the conversation, Barku Tubman Zawulo.
Hello, everybody. Y'all looking good. Okay, T. Okay. Well, I am excited to invite these women out on stage because they are very much responsible for a lot of the economic inclusion development work that happens. It is with great honor and pleasure that I would love to invite Mayor Helena Moreno of New Orleans to the stage. Give it up for Mayor Moreno. And then I'd like to follow that with Mandy Mitchell. I love it. I love it. And then, of course, Shamel Dapie with Louisiana Economic Development. Listen, talk about power moves. And last but definitely not least is Miss Jasmine Brown DeRosa. Okay. So, first of all, we look good on camera. Let's just say that. I mean, I just want to say we do look. Do they not look good? Because, hard work, looking good and hard work is a whole thing. So, first of all, thank you, thank you, thank you. It is such an honor and privilege to have this conversation because this is exactly the conversation of what moves this whole festival, right? The economic development, the workforce development, the economic impact. That is really, honestly, what we all care about, essentially, with Essence Festival of Culture, Louisiana, City of New Orleans. So I'm going to get into it, but we're going to have a conversation because we want you all to really tap into this. So I'm going to start very quickly. What does it actually take to close a deal that changes the trajectory of a city or a community? And Mayor Moreno, I'm going to start with you because this is your city.
Hey, everyone. How you feeling? Good to see y'all. Barku, thank you for putting together this important panel. When I took office, I knew that when it came to economic development and jobs, it's really about providing opportunities for everyone across the city. And I remember thinking that to really accomplish big things in the city of New Orleans, that we needed to think outside the box. And somebody told me, hey, Helena, stop thinking about a box. There is no box. Think that it's limitless. Like all types of new things are possible. And so that means that supporting entrepreneurs, supporting women-owned businesses, ensuring that we support our Black businesses here in the city of New Orleans. Right. Making sure that we have the right educational opportunities so that people can really thrive in jobs, connecting those educational opportunities with industries here in New Orleans. Making sure that we're preparing major corridors for investment in New Orleans. So all of those things right now, I'm so excited to say that they are happening in the Crescent City. They are happening in the city of New Orleans.
That's right.
Because the city of New Orleans is on the rise. And so I feel the excitement everywhere I go throughout the city. And the level of investment that's coming in is exciting. But that investment needs to ensure that it meets with opportunities for the people who are here in New Orleans. I get it. It's always good to bring people in, but also we have to make sure we take care of our own.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think, I think partnerships are important, right? I always feel like if you go into a city, it is important to not come and try to take over, but come and partner, learn, understand. Because and then New Orleans being a city with so much culture, you all are built on family foundation here, I found. Like there's so much connection. So I find that part of how we are successful here with Essence is through the partnership that we have with you, with the city and the people. The people here are very critical. But Mandy, I'm going to ask you, because you sit at many tables as well, similar question, like what does it take to close a deal that changes the trajectory of a city or a community?
Thank you for that question. And hello, Essence. Thank you, Barku, for putting together this panel. Thank you, Louisiana Economic Development, Shamelda, and the entire team at Louisiana Economic Development for everything that you all do. Did you all know that the state of Louisiana right now, in just the last 2 years, we have brought over $100 billion of capital investment to this state, all across the entire state, including in my region where I'm from, Cajun and Creole culture, in Lafayette, Louisiana, Acadiana, the sister of the Great Orleans. So you asked that question, Barku, about what does it take? And I'm going to come from the perspective of an economic development practitioner, a professional. And number one, it takes partnerships. Economic development is a team sport. It does not happen with one person. It doesn't happen with one organization functioning in a silo. It requires partnerships with your elected officials, partnership with the private sector, partnership with your local homegrown businesses, and all businesses, women and minority businesses especially, need to be at the table. But it takes partnerships. It takes relationships. It takes preparation. Oftentimes, when you are thinking about economic development wins, the conversations have been happening for 2 years behind the scenes. The preparation. Is your community ready to welcome economic development? Is your community ready to support local entrepreneurs who should be getting those procurement opportunities when you bring in the big project? So I'll say partnerships is important. Relationships. I will also say creativity, because no one economic development project is the same. So economic developers at heart are problem solvers. You have to be creative in blocking and tackling, removing obstacles so that economic opportunity can flow to everyone in the community. And I want to say one more thing. As an economic development professional who serves on an international board of economic development, several state boards, and the Southern Region Board, which covers 17 states, economic development is not about projects. It is about people. It is about people. And a lot of times that misconception that it's all about that ribbon cutting, that big splashy billion-dollar project, the one bringing in 1,000 jobs, that's not what it's about. It is about the people and making sure that economic opportunity and economic mobility is flowing to the people.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And you said this quite a few times. You both have already. You keep saying community, community, community. And I think that is really true, because that really must be what drives, all of this work that you all do. And so I'm going to ask you the same question, Shamelda, because you sit it with the big, in the big house doing all of this stuff, right? Like this is the core of what you all do at LED. What does it take to close that deal that changes the trajectory? Like what drives the decisions and the work that you all do?
So I have to piggyback on what was previously said about partnerships, and I want to add to that. It's creating an ecosystem. And that's an ecosystem with our small business development centers, with our universities, with our other intermediaries like Urban League, who are able to prepare the business owners to participate in these deals. Louisiana has a program called Source Louisiana, and that allows companies to be more visible to be able to participate in these projects. So again, providing those resources and expanding that ecosystem allows those deals to come full circle.
Love that. I'm going to stick to the partnership piece because I feel like, Jasmine, that, you all sit in a space with GNO Inc. where you have a lot of partners, right? And so how does the partnership and how do you all support all of these different initiatives with the partnerships that you and the partners that you bring to the table?
So, first of all, in the spirit of partnership, this panel does not exist. So thank you to echo the gratitude that my fellow panelists have expressed to Essence. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and of course to everyone on this distinguished panel. You see, partnership really propels power. And so in the space that we get an opportunity to work in at GNO Inc., we like to call ourselves the synapse. And if you know anything about the synapse, you recognize that it stands in the middle of everything. And so with an eye towards people, just as my fellow mentor Mandy has expressed, economic development is truly all about the people. And so when you think about the work that we get to do every day and center people every single day, we like to think about what are those elements that can ensure that our mission stays alive, a thriving economy, and an excellent quality of life for everyone. And so specifically, I'll highlight, to not be redundant, but I'll highlight policy. Policy is a very important pillar of what we do as economic developers, but truly, it's the infrastructure that sets the foundation for everything that we do, not only in economic development, but beyond. And where there is the correct policy infrastructure, that's where capital flows. And where capital flows, that's where impact is advanced. And because this panel and everyone in this room is about impact, I would suggest that partnerships coupled with policy is really the way to continue to propel prosperity, not only in the space of economic development, but across our communities.
I love that. You remind me of the 3 Ps: partnership, prosperity, and participation. Right? That is what you all represent. But, I have to say, I appreciate all of the love and the thank you. But you know why we have this panel? Louisiana economic development.
Woo.
That is partnership.
Yes.
That is partnership. So I just had to take my privilege, personal privilege, to say thank you because that is really, really important. This has been a partnership that has just really blossomed and grown. And so as we think about 30-something years in New Orleans, like that partnership is what keeps it going, you all, just so you know. So I'm going to get personal here with you all. And this is for all of you. And Jasmine, I'll start with you just because I started with, the Honorable Mayor already. But I want you all to share a moment when you were the only woman or only Black woman in the room and how you handled it.
That is an
I
excellent
love
question.
the laughter just because, that
Every day.
Because you're going to
I
have
was
that
gonna
every
say-
day.
Mayor, correct. That's
Right.
pretty much 99% of the moments that I lead every day. But you know what? Listen, I count it as an honor. I count it as a responsibility. And I recognize that every time I stand in the room, whether there's one of me there or 100 of us in there, I recognize that I stand on the shoulder of giants. And I'm reminded of the quote that suggests that, listen, I come as one, but I stand as many. And so every time I get an opportunity to stand and represent not only my family who's here, not only my savior, but also I recognize that responsibility comes with representing every Black woman that is in this room today. And I don't take that lightly. And so what I like to think about every morning, what keeps me going in the midst of all of the amazing challenges and opportunities that we have, is just that. It's opportunity. You see, because opportunity, it should not be a privilege. It cannot be a privilege, but it is a promise. And so when I step into those rooms, I am always thinking about how do we make more opportunities for people that look like me. Listen, I don't want to be the only one in the room.
Correct.
That's not the goal. The goal is that as I knock and as I'm able to step in as the only one, that as I'm walking in, I'm pulling at least 10 others with me. So the goal is for, if it has to start as the only, please don't let it end as the only. And that's my responsibility every day.
I love that. That is, yes, give it up for that, because that's also part of the work, right? Because I can imagine with where you all sit, that you as the mayor, Shamelda, the spaces, Mandy, the rooms you in. But what is a moment, Shamelda? Like, how did it feel? How do you feel? In those moments.
Sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
However, you have to realize that you were created for such a time as this.
That's right.
That you were placed in these spaces and to be able to speak on the behalf of others. I am in these rooms so that I can make change. And I'm honored to be able to create programs that can affect community everywhere, but especially give information back to communities who aren't always afforded those opportunities. So, yes, sometimes it becomes overwhelming, but I realize it's a part of my purpose. I worked with other women who went before me, who were mentors, and who taught me several things. And I take that and I make sure that I, like Jasmine, I lift as I climb.
I love that. That's amazing. Great piece of advice and experience. I always think it's really important to share experience, right? Because we always see, people see you on the stage, but they want to know how to get there and what are the emotions and things that will get us there. So Mandy, I'm going to ask you the same thing, because I think it is important to share, like, what is the emotion? How do you navigate being the only woman in the room in some of these spaces?
Yeah, that's a great question, Barku. And I really just want to say amen and ditto to what Mel and what Jazz said. Mayor Moreno and I were over here chuckling because it's literally 99.9% of the time of our lives here in the lovely Deep South. And so, I will share this. The organization that I lead has been operating in its current form for about 40 years. It has roots that date back to 1899. I'm the first CEO of color for that organization, and I'm the first female, and I got it honest. I had to compete against 35 other
Very
people for
honest.
that job.
Yes.
So when I step into those rooms, I feel empowered, and I feel like I'm going to have some fun today.
Ooh, I like that.
So, I will say this. I appreciate, especially traveling a country and going into corporate settings, economic development conferences, site selector conferences, and I love seeing more and more Black and brown professionals not only serving as entrepreneurs, serving their communities, starting businesses, but on this side of the table, providing the services, curating the programs that will, in fact, build and strengthen the ecosystem. So it is energizing for me, because for me, that's not where the story should end. The story should end just as these two young ladies to my left has said, and just what I know what Mayor Moreno has said. Black and brown professionals have a lot to offer to this country, to their communities, to their states, and we need to create more room at the end for more of us.
Correct.
Well said. But Mayor Moreno, you can stay to that question, but we keep talking about ecosystems. And so I want to make sure we don't leave here, because I think that's a lot of what you do. You're building, maintaining, and growing a lot of ecosystems, and so I would love to hear from you, like, what does building an inclusive ecosystem look like in practice, not just in theory? Like, what does it look like? Because I can only imagine, from city council to now Mayor Moreno, what does that look like?
Well, first, I'll answer also the question that you had about being the only woman in a room, and I'll also answer your ecosystem. So first, let me just start that the being the only woman in a room. Okay, a little bit of what you all described also gave me a little bit of PTSD. Okay, because there's been many times when I've been the only woman in the room, and particularly when I was a younger woman, where at times I was even told, please go and sit outside with the wives, when instead what I did was pull up a chair at the table. So I think a big part of I think a big part of it is understanding your power and understanding that you're supposed to be in that room, that you're supposed to be in that room because you have a purpose in that room, you have something to say in that room, and that as women is what we really need to understand within ourselves. I've been in many rooms and recently many adverse rooms, all made up of men who are there to potentially attack me or attack my city, sometimes even publicly in rooms like this that are open to lots of media. And so to me, it's always, I have the people of New Orleans to represent. I understand my power. I understand my job, and the voice of the people of New Orleans will be heard. And so that's what I always, keep in my mind. But then let's talk about the ecosystems. I wouldn't be able to feel that way about myself if I didn't have an ecosystem of amazing women who I have looked up to for many years. Some of the women are right on this panel who I've worked with for many years, who have supported me and amplified me. And that's why I think it's so important for women to support women. So often we don't see that. We see women competing against women not wanting to support women. When I was in the legislature, I saw it all the time. I served in the Louisiana legislature for 8 years, and it was women who voted against equal pay for women. So
I actually want you to say that again.
The supporting of women is really important.
Yeah, I want you to say that again because I think sometimes we sit on the stages and we say the things, but then what's really happening, which is why it is not just to say, let's support women. It is really actually doing it in community, in the legislature, and the fact that you can share that is what's happening. The question is why, though? Why would you vote against something that benefits you, right? Which is why the work that you all do is so important in sharing the emotion and the challenge and, what you have to navigate and why ecosystem is important because it's not going to be easy, which is why not everybody's doing it. But they're up here to show you that it's possible. So please do it and do it more. And you guys share this in your answer already because there is a cost of showing up in these spaces. There is a cost to really call out the fact that it is women voting against some of these gender equity things that should benefit us. But what is the cost of showing up in spaces that weren't built with you in mind? What is that cost? Because I know it's got to be emotional, spiritual, personal, because you're doing it. And I have to tell you a story. I know I go off script a little bit. I tell everybody this. I came down for Mayor Moreno's inauguration, right? And I've had the privilege of getting to know her for the past, about 5 years. And she stands strong. She's always moving. She's building. And as I watched her walk down that church, was the very first time I saw her almost taking that moment, right? And it was almost like, while she stood taller, you could see the emotion on your face because it cost you something to get there. So I want to hear about that because that is the story that we want people to understand. Although it may cost you, you got to make it worth it.
I mean, honestly, Barku, ultimately, I just look up to God all the time, and I'm just, ask Him to guide me. I ask Him to guide me, and as I walk through life, I just hope and pray that I'm making the right decisions, and that as I move forward, that as I'm kicking open doors, that they are worth me kicking open doors because I'm following God's path for me. And so that's really kind of how I live my life. But I'm never going to live with any regrets. I think that, doors will open and close. Those that close, I find another one to open, and you just keep getting up and moving forward. That's all that we can do, and that's all that we must do. And I think for women, it's so important that we have to realize within ourselves that we can do it. I think so often when it comes to big dreams that women have, men will just go out and do it and not think about it a lot. Sorry for the guys in here. Sorry for the guys. But for women, we have put so much more thought into things and the possibilities and the consequences. that it's pushing past fear. And so particularly when I talk to young women, I go into different schools and I have an organization that I started on the council side called Level Up for young ladies during the summer. And that is the one thing that I always talk about, that as women, it's about pushing past
That's right.
fear. Because so often fear is what stops you from
That's right.
fulfilling your dream, from even
right.
starting it.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Mandy, over to you. What's the real cost of showing up? Because let's be clear, as you show up, all of you show up in the spaces, you're actually not doing it for self. Right? You're not doing it for self. You could easily say, you know what, I can just be focused on me. So what does it cost you?
Yeah, and Barku, I love what you just said, because if you're sitting in the seat of an economic developer, you wake up every day, all day, and you're thinking about, what am I going to do today that is going to ensure that the economic opportunity experienced by this current generation is surpassed by that next generation coming. And so it's weighty, it's heavy, and there are times when you're going to do things, you're going to make unpopular decisions as an elected official. You're going to make unpopular decisions when you have limited resources as an economic developer. So there is a cost. You're not always going to make everybody happy. But so long as you know at the end of the day that you are paying it forward for that next generation, so that you are helping to establish generational wealth, whatever the cost, it's worth it. Now, personally, so I have my family in here. My daughter's here. My little one is not here. She would be bouncing all over the place. But let me say this. From my perspective, personally, because I think you wanted to know personally, the cost is, if you're in this work, if you're serving the ecosystem, helping to build and move it forward, the cost is you're taking time away from your family.
That's right. That's
you
right.
know, and that is something that weighs heavy on all of us.
That's right.
Our spouses, our children, our parents. We are sacrificing some of that time so that our neighborhoods, our communities, our regions, the ecosystems can be better and can be stronger. So there is a cost, but it's well worth it.
Awesome. So I'm going to go to you, Shamelda. What does it cost you?
That's hard to follow.
I
by
know,
the way.
I know. But you know, everybody's story is different.
You're right. I'll say this. You're not always going to be liked, and that's okay. But you do need to be effective.
Yes.
You need to be effective, and you need to remember what the objective is for the greater good. Louisiana economic development is about opportunity. So in order to make those opportunities happen, you do have to make the tough choices. You do have to hold people accountable. So that's a part of it. But just understand that you may not always be liked, but you need to be effective and productive.
I love that. It
it.
makes all the sense in the world to me. Jasmine, what does it cost you?
Absolutely. I love this question because the first thing that came to mind was purpose is, in fact, expensive. But what's
Facts.
even more costly is not being obedient. It's not acting. It's moving in fear. It's not moving forward in obedience. It's not moving forward in faith. And so while purpose is expensive, inaction is costly.
Yes.
The reward pays dividends. And so as we're thinking about that, as we're thinking about the cost, as all of these beautiful women have already set the framework for, I would encourage every woman, even if there's some males in here today, as a result of that, never let the cost discourage you. So as women, we have to stop pausing and start pushing, right? We have to stop waiting and really start walking in it. And last but certainly not least, we have to stop knocking and just start kicking down. Because the cost of inaction far outweighs the cost of purpose.
What a brilliant way to try to wrap it up. That was amazing. But before we go, I want to make sure everybody knows how to connect with you all. So, Jasmine, how do people connect with you and your organization?
Absolutely. So we have a very open door policy. If you're here in the greater New Orleans region, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is jbrown@gnoinc.org. Our website is gnoinc.org. LinkedIn is always available. We would love, love, love to connect with more beautiful, powerful, purpose-leading women and men across this country. Thank you so much.
Shamelda?
Yes, you can reach LED or Louisiana Economic Development at opportunitylouisiana.com. You can also, as Jasmine said, you can also find us on LinkedIn as well as Instagram. Again, opportunitylouisiana.com.
Mandy?
Awesome. So I am a LinkedIn junkie. So you can just look up Mandy with an I, Mandi, on LinkedIn, and you'll find me there. And I'm very proud of our region of the state, Lafayette, Louisiana, the Acadiana region, where the authentic Cajun food comes from. Check us out at looktolafayette.com. It is the fastest growing parish in the state of Louisiana. We have the best performing large school system in the state. Over the last couple years, we have welcomed over 5,000 jobs and over $450 million in capital investment. And we've supported hundreds of local homegrown small businesses. So come check us out.
Love it. Well, last but definitely not least,
I think most of y'all from New Orleans probably know where City Hall is, right? Yeah. You can find me at City Hall, 1300 Perdido. Also go to our website, nola.gov. And you can always send me an email. It's mayor@nola.gov. Barku, thank you for doing this today. And y'all, thank you for being here. Have a happy, wonderful, and safe Essence Fest.
and I want to, as much as see what I love about this conversation is if you're from New Orleans, you live in Louisiana, you know about them, but there's so many people who are not from here. So this is the crew that you need so you can do more business in Louisiana. That is what they want you to do. So thank you all for all of the information, not just about how to connect with you, but encouraging the women of Essence. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barku.
Thank you. Thank you.